Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Authentic Love Academy. I'm your host, April the LOVEologist, and I'm excited to have you here today. Our topic today is how to connect when you desire interracial or intercultural love, as we call it. Now, for those of you who are new, I am going to formally introduce myself to you. I'm April the LOVEologist. I am your love coach. I am the author of this little journal over here, as well as this little book over here, What Your Mama Didn't Tell You About Dating. I have made it my life's mission to help you highly ambitious professionals who desire interracial love to attract that special someone who will be your forever partner. So if you would like to have my assistance, be sure that you lean into me because I will certainly be there to catch you. How do you lean into me? It's easy. Look in the description, locate my calendar link, and go ahead and reserve your spot on my calendar. Now let's get into today's topic. Oh, and before we do that, if you should have questions about today's topic, be sure that you post them in the comments. If you should have a suggestion about a topic that you would like me to cover in the future, make sure you put that in the comments as well. I do read all of my comments and respond to them myself personally. So, let's move on. If you see me looking down, yes, I have notes and I am trying to stay on track today. How do you connect if you desire intercultural or interracial love? Well, one way you do that is you want to go into their area. And when I say into their area, for instance, if you desire a professional guy, then you want to go to that type of workplace. Or shall I say, maybe get you a job close by that type of workplace so that you can be seen. See, that's the big thing about connecting with gentlemen, is that it is our job to be seen. Not that you are going to go somewhere and just have a tantrum and throw something so that you can get the attention of everybody in the area, but you need to be seen because it's a little difficult for a gentleman to approach you or meet you or connect with you if he is unable to see you. Just putting that out there for you. So let me tell you what I mean about going into their areas. I already spoke about work. You know, if you're that professional and you're into investing, stock market, real estate, lawyer, those type of professional areas, then be sure that you are involved in maybe some organizations that deal with that type of profession. Also, you want to pay attention to the people who are in your office that may be paying attention to you, particularly the guys. Now, they're not going to be noticeable, or you may even feel like somebody's been staring at you, or somebody's coming by your desk a little extra, unnecessarily. And by all means, be aware if someone asks you to lunch or to coffee. Sometimes the ladies will move into a neighborhood that may be housing people of that particular culture. Because you know, all across the U.S. in every state, there are various cultures who live in certain areas of the state or certain areas of the city. I know here in my city, we have a Hispanic community where that's just where a lot of Hispanics are. About 45 minutes from me, there is a mall that caters specifically to the Latin American Hispanic community. So if you're interested in Hispanics or Latin Americans and you live in this area, that would be somewhere that I would tell you you would need to frequent. I know that you ladies have probably already gotten your degree and you're not in college right now, but maybe you decide to go back to college to get the second or the third degree. You also want to pay attention there as to who is paying attention to you. Because you know, when you were a freshman, or shall I say an undergraduate, you were exposed to a lot of different cultures. Well, as you mature and you go after the second and third degree, then you find people that are even in your area of study, or maybe it's somebody that you bump into in the dining area, in the library. Pay attention to who's paying attention to you. That is the biggest part that you need to make sure you're doing when you are desiring intercultural, interracial love. Also, you want to make sure that you are dressed appropriately. And when I say appropriately, that you're dressed like a woman who is interested in connecting with a gentleman. And by all means, make sure that you're wearing that smile. I know some of y'all have some real serious things going on in your CEOs or your team leads, and you're focused, but you can't be that focused, especially in your face, when you desire someone that is from another culture. Because you want to make sure that you present yourself as a person who is open and happy and smiling, because they may be checking you out. And I'm going to tell you, the reason they check you out, or they check you out for a long time, is because they're looking to see if you are a person who is also open to intercultural or interracial love. So be sure that you're wearing your smile, you're dressing appropriately, and you want to go and frequent areas where the type of gentlemen from the culture that you prefer are going to be. Point number 2, learn some of their language. If you would just simply learn the greeting part of their language, how to say hello, how to say goodbye, how to say how are you, how's your day going, just the beginning types of conversation. You might even put in there, do you come here often? Especially if you're standing inside a restaurant, it would be great for you to be able to say, do you come here often, in their language, especially if you pick up on the fact that they have the particular accent that goes with the culture the culture of the person that you're interested in. Because I know so many times I have been in places and I've been talking to a person, and we've had this conversation. The conversation was in English, and at the end I say something in Spanish, and they're like, and they turn back around and look at me again. So when you have learned some of the language, it will open doors for you in practically any culture. Another thing too is maybe even learn the names of some dishes. And I know you might even want to learn how to cook some, but it helps you with conversation and connecting. I have a client, and she is very, very interested in gentlemen from the Korean background. She has learned the language. She has learned to cook the food. She knows how to go to the grocery store and buy stuff. So when she connects with someone, she can actually communicate with them very smoothly, even if it is in English. She can communicate with things that are going to make them find that they have things in common. And this is what you want to do when you're connecting with someone from a different culture. Let me give you all my little story about how I met a gentleman a month before my 61st birthday. Well, I was out and I needed Uber to come home, so I requested my Uber, and this burgundy, I believe they call this American General. I think that's not the name of that brand, but anyway, it was a burgundy SUV. And so I look up and I was like, oh, that's my ride. I prepare to go out the door, and looked out the door and I see this person get out and these nice little brown legs going around the car, and they got around to the back, and I was like, oh, that looks nice. And so I'm trying not to stare. So he comes around and he helps me into the vehicle and closes my door and everything. And he gets in and we get to talking. And another thing that really helped us to have a good conversation is I used to be an Uber driver as well. And he was new at it. So we just had a great conversation. And he took me to my next stop, and then he took me on home. Okay. That was on Thursday. Well, the next week on Tuesday, I was leaving the same place and needed an Uber ride home. I know this happens, but it doesn't happen frequently, or shall I say, when I was driving for Uber, it didn't happen frequently. But on Tuesday, the same car pulled up to pick me up, and the little brown legs get out and walk around, and I was like, well. So we have this nice little conversation. Again, I needed to make a stop before I got home. We did that. And then on our way to the house, we get to talking about cooking and food. And y'all know that I am not the cook. I know how to eat the food, but I am not the cook. So we get to talking, and we get to talk about how food needs to be seasoned. Well, I do know about that. And so in our chat, he's just telling me all these things about these dishes, and I was like, oh, he does know how to cook. Okay. And so we keep on chatting, and all of a sudden he's like, well, I'll come to your house and cook dinner for you. And I was like, bam. Yes, I woke up and I realized that he was a little bit more interested than just being my Uber driver. And I know some of you may be saying, ooh, the Uber driver. Well, I want you to be aware that a lot of these people that are driving for Uber and Lyft have college degrees, and it's just something that they do on the side. Or some of them, because we've been through COVID, this may have become their income, that they replaced the income they had before Uber. So, be aware. You don't know who you just came in contact with. So as we're driving and we get closer to my house, I was like, I'm going to surprise him. I'm going to actually give him my number. So we got there, and he was getting my things out of the back, and I went and found my business cards. And when he came around the front to help me to the door, I gave him my card. He was in shock, and I said, text me when you're ready to come and cook dinner for me. Because, see, it was a month before my birthday, and I was like, I don't mind having somebody cook for me. Not a problem at all. So I just want you to understand what I mean when I say be aware. Because I know that a lot of ladies, in their minds, they're thinking, well, they may not be interested in me because of X, Y, and Z. But the thing is, when you connect with somebody from a different culture, the things that you think are a negative are oftentimes the things that they really like about you, because they're the things that make you special. Let's see what else I have on this list. So we've talked about going to their area or be in an area or doing an event that you know that your type of guy would be interested in, or it's something that's part of his culture. We also talked about learning their language, some of their language, so that it will open doors for you. And I shared with you my own personal story. Oh, and by the way, I failed to mention the guy was Hispanic. Yes, he was. And I really want you to really pay attention to who is around you. That is so important. And who's communicating with you. I know of one young lady. She was in college, and I don't remember what degree she was working on, but she was already a lawyer. And she was in several organizations on the campus. And she had met this other gentleman. They both were, what do we call them, non-traditional students, because They were older. They lived off campus. They lived in separate places off campus. I'm not saying they lived together, but they had connected on campus, and both of them were leaders in several different organizations. Some of the organizations they were in together, that they were in the leadership of the organization, and there were several others that they were in separately, and they were still in leadership. Because remember, they were older, they're working on second degrees or third degrees, and they became friends. Well, the thing is, when they met, the guy was married. The girl had never been married. And so they just had a platonic friendship, and they would meet, they would go to lunch and, discuss things from their organizations and their studies, etc., etc. And then they started going to dinner every once in a while. And she said she just was not even thinking anything, because that's what a lot of ladies do. They don't even think that somebody from another culture would be interested in them at all, until they went to dinner one night and he informed her that he was interested in her. And she was like in shock. But he also informed her that he was no longer married. They connected, their relationship shifted and went into a different direction. This woman was over 40. So I want you to understand that you shouldn't let things like your age or where you are in life hold you back. You can connect, yes, with the man of your dreams. So these two here, and what really got my attention was the fact that these two people were lawyers. They're people who know about research. They're people who know about investigation and paying attention to people and paying attention to their body language. But she had no idea the guy was interested in her at all. But this is my point again. When it's a guy from a different culture, they are very cool, calm, and collected, and you may not even realize that they are interested in you. This is why you must stay alert. So yes, these two lawyers, their relationship developed. They got to be quite serious. They got married. And they had twins. So yes, regardless of your situation or where you are in life, you can connect with the man of your dreams. I want to share with you some other little examples of connections, because I know that a lot of ladies are allowing things to hold them back that they shouldn't. When I used to sell insurance, I remember going to the home of a lady and a gentleman, and they both had white hair. They were the cutest little couple. Yes, they were. But what got my attention was I walked into the house, and there was this big, I don't know what you call it, but it was a big container that went real tall, and it had shelves in it. It wasn't real wide. It wasn't a bookshelf, but it had these shelves in it. It had a lot of shells in it. It had a lot of little statues in it. It had things in it that had sand and stuff. And so what I learned was that the two of them went to Israel every year, and sometimes twice a year together. We keep on talking, just getting to know each other. And what just blew me out the water was they were newlyweds. Did I say they had white hair? Yes, they both had white hair. They were newlyweds. They got married when she was 80. And if I remember right, he was 82. They had only been married about a year. A lot of times we allow ourselves to just turn our feelings off as we get older. If you desire someone, regardless of your age, the main thing to do is act like it, dress like it, look like it, smile like it. But yes, they were newlyweds, got married into their 80s. There was a clip on Steve Harvey where an older gentleman and an older lady was there, and they just had this fierce love story. They fell in love in high school. Yes, they did. And they went to the prom together. And after that, they ended up breaking up and they went their separate ways. 60 years passed. And they reconnect. They had gotten married to other people. Both of them, their spouses, had passed. The guy said he had always been in love with this woman. Granted, he did love the woman he married, but this woman that he met in high school, he had always loved her and had always thought about her. So he decided that he was going to contact her husband and say to her husband, I've always loved her and I loved her first. I would really like to see her once again for the last time. This man is 80 years old. So he Googled her and found out that her husband had passed. And so he actually sent a condolence card, but in it he added his health situation, his phone number, his email. And she contacted him back. And she says to him, oh, I have been thinking about you for the last 2 years and actually been searching for you for the last 2 years. And it was as though God had answered both of their prayers. So they communicated. They talked about the possibility of him coming to where she lived. She lived 12 hours away in another state. And so, 12 hours later, he is calling her saying, are you at home? She said, yes. He said, I am out here in your driveway. Yes, check this out. 12 hours later, and this man is 80 years old, and he has hopped in his vehicle and driven to see the woman that he loves. I want you to remember, if a gentleman really loves you, he really wants you, he is going to do what it takes to secure you, to have you, to be with you, to share his love with you. This gentleman was 80 years old, and he drove 12 hours because he loved this woman. And they rekindled their relationship. And not long after that, he went and got a special engagement ring for her that represented the future, the past, and the present. And yes, they got married. And they both were in their 80s. So I just want to remind you that the first part of connecting with someone is for you to be aware, for you to be alert, for you to be positive, and the person of your dreams is out there. They're available for you, but you are going to have to be alert, positive, and ready. This is April, the Loveologist. Be sure that you share this out, subscribe if you're on YouTube, and look down in the description. You will see a link that says 50 locations to connect to Mr. or Mrs. Right. Yes, that is in there for you. It is my gift for you because I appreciate you taking time to watch this little video. So for those of you who have been wondering, where have all the good men gone? Be sure that you go down there in the description and check that link out. and learn those 50 places that you can connect with your Mr. Right. Well, I'm April, the Loveologist. It's been my pleasure to serve you today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video that I share here on YouTube and on Facebook.